The Mississippi master always chained slaves in the mud, but one dawn, he was the one chained there. The hot, suffocating nights of Mississippi still hide stories that can shake a person's soul. It was the year 1863. Slavery was taking its final breaths, but cruelty was still alive. Lord Henry Beaumont, a notoriously brutal Mississippi master, treated his slaves with a hatred that chilled the blood. His most feared punishment was something he called the mud chains. He would tie a slave's hands and feet with heavy iron shackles and throw them into the open muddy fields during rain, sometimes for hours, sometimes for the entire night. The one he punished the most was a 17-year-old girl named Ilara. Ilara was young, but something inside her refused to break. She never screamed, never begged for mercy. She just looked up at the sky and whispered, "One day, this sky will speak the truth." Henry couldn't stand her calm defiance. To him, her silence made his cruelty look small. One night, a storm was approaching, thunder tearing the sky apart. Henry dragged Ilara to the field again and threw her into the mud, binding her with the same iron chains. But that night, the story changed. After midnight, the other enslaved people, shaking, bruised, and sinking in mud, stood up for the first time and said, "Enough." They didn't break down Henry's door. They didn't attack him. Instead, they quietly took the very chains Henry used and walked out into the raging storm. Just before dawn, Henry opened his eyes and found himself lying in the same mud, tied hand and foot, the cold iron chains digging into his skin, the same torture he had inflicted on others for years. Ilara stood before him, but there was no hatred in her eyes. Only one sentence, spoken softly, yet powerful enough to silence the entire storm. "Throwing someone into the mud is easy, but the mud shows you the truth of your own heart. Today you finally get to see yours." The enslaved people hadn't come to kill Henry. They came to give him something far heavier, the weight of realization. The sun began to rise, spreading golden light across the muddy field. And for the first time in his life, tears fell from Henry's cold, hard eyes. Because when cruelty returns to its source, it forces a man to face his own reflection. That morning changed everything. The slaves did not run. They walked away as free human beings, leaving that land behind forever. And they say Henry Beaumont never raised a hand against anyone again. For him, that sunrise wasn't a punishment, it was a mirror.